Hello and welcome everyone for the new session of Biology Chapter 9 Control and Coordination Part 5. Last time we studied about midbrain, functions of midbrain, hindbrain, functions of hindbrain, spinal cord and functions of spinal cord. Today we will start with peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system consists of two parts, that is cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Cranial nerves. These nerves develop from brain. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Roman numbering 1 to 12 is used to denote them. According to their functions, these are classified as sensory nerves, motor nerves, and mixed nerve. If I say sensory nerve, that means the one which carry the sensation. Motor nerves, that means they help in movement or giving response. And mixed nerve means they show both sensory as well as motor functions. That means they can receive sensation and they can also give response to it. Spinal nerves. There are 31 pairs of spinal nerves which originate from the spinal cord. They are all mixed type of nerve. That means they are of both motor as well as sensory type. Therefore, they are called as mixed nerves. The peripheral nervous system connects the central nervous system to the different parts of the body having receptors and effectors. Depending on the connection to the central nervous system, that is brain and spinal cord, the peripheral nerves are classified into two main types, cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Cranial nerves are connected to brain and spinal nerves are connected to spinal cord. Now talking about the cranial nerves, these nerve develops from the brain in all amnions, and there are 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Talking about the spinal nerve, there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves arising from spinal cord. Talking about the cranial nerves in detail, we know there are 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Let's study it in detail. First start with the naming of all the 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Starting with the first one. The first is olfactory, then optic, oculomotor, pathetic or cochlear, trigeminal, abducens, facial, auditory, glossopharyngeal, vagus, spinal accessory and hypoglossal. These are the 12 pairs. Let's study in detail. Olfactory originates from olfactory bulb and innervates inside the epithelium of nose. Therefore, the function is sense of smell. It is sensory in function. Optic originates from retina of eye, innervates on the side of diencephalon, helps in vision. Function type is sensory. Oculomotor and pathetic, both of them originates from the floor of midbrain, innervates inside the eye muscles and they help in movement of eye and rotation of eyeball. So they are motor. Trigeminal. It is a mixed type of nerve which originates from the ventral side of pons varolii and divides into three parts, that is ophthalmic, maxillary and mandibular. Ophthalmic innervates in the nasal cavity, upper eyelid, forehead region. Of maxillary innervates in the upper teeth, upper lip, whereas mandibular innervates inside the lower teeth, skin over mandibular, cheek, etc. and their function is sensation of skin, touch, taste. Abducens originates from pons varolii, innervates inside the muscles of eyeball from the lateral rectus muscle, helps in movement of eye, that is motor. Facial originates from pons varolii, enters inside the facial, scalp and neck muscles, lacrimal, sublingual, submandibular, nasal and palatine glands. So it helps in facial expression, movement of neck, secretion of tears, taste, saliva. Auditory originates from pons varolii, innervates inside the internal ear. Main function is hearing and equilibrium. It is sensory. Glossopharyngeal. It is mixed type of nerve. Originates from the side of medulla oblongata, innervates into pharynx, tongue and salivary glands, helps in taste, salivation and swallowing. Vagus. It is also mixed type. Originates from the side of medulla oblongata, innervates inside the larynx, trachea, pharynx, alimentary canal, heart, lungs, pancreas, blood vessels, etc. That is visceral organ. So the function is visceral sensation and visceral movement. Spinal accessory. It is motor. It originates from the side of medulla oblongata, innervates inside the neck and shoulder muscles, so they mainly help in the movement of larynx, pharynx, neck and shoulder. Hypoglossal. It is motor. It originates from the side of medulla oblongata, innervates inside the tongue muscles and so they help in movement of tongue. There are 31 pairs of spinal nerves originate from the spinal cord. They are all mixed nerves and they provide two-way communication between the spinal cord and the part of upper and lower limbs, neck and trunk. 31 pairs of spinal nerves arises from different parts of vertebral column. 8 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral and 1 coccygeal depending upon the region of origin from the vertebral column. Formation of a typical spinal nerve. All the spinal nerves are of mixed type, that is they have some sensory and some motor nerve. Each spinal nerve is formed inside the neural canal of vertebral column by two roots, that is dorsal sensory and ventral motor root. Sensory root, that is dorsal root, receives the sensory nerve from dorsal root ganglia, while the ventral root gives out motor nerve. So both sensory and motor nerves together form the mixed spinal nerve. Now these nerves emerges out from both the sides of the spinal cord through the intervertebral foramen. As soon as it emerges out of the vertebral column, it shows three branches via ramus dorsalis, ramus ventralis and ramus communicans. Ramus dorsalis forms skin to the muscles of dorsal side. Ramus ventralis, the largest of the three, supplies the organ and muscles on the lateral and anterior side. And ramus communicans is the smallest of the three and given out from first thoracic up to third lumbar spinal nerve. It joins the sympathetic ganglia. Reflex action. A sudden, spontaneous, automatic and involuntary response to stimulus is called reflex action. The response to stimulus is said to be involuntary as it is carried out without any conscious effort by the brain. So this is the reflex action. The path along which the action is carried out is called reflex arc. On the basis of control over the actions, reflex actions can be of two different types, that is, cranial reflexes and spinal reflexes. Cranial reflexes are carried out by brain and the action given by the body or the response given by the body is slow. For example, watering of mouth on smell of good food. Whereas the second one is spinal reflexes, which is carried out through spinal cord. And here urgency for response is required. So these are quick type of responses. For example, withdrawal of hand on touching a hot pan, as we have seen now. We had seen the video. That video indicates the reflex action based on spinal reflexes. Now, on the basis of previous experiences, the reflex actions can be of two different types, that is, unconditional reflexes and conditional reflexes. Unconditional reflexes does not require any previous experience. For example, you need not to learn these things, that is sneezing, coughing, yawning, hiccups, etc. All these are the things which you don't need any experiences. You don't need to learn these things. These are inbuilt in our body. So they are considered as unconditional reflexes. Second one is conditional reflexes. Now these actions are based on previous experience. For example, swimming, dancing, cycling, etc. Whatever game you are playing, all those things. So these are certain reflexes which initially are voluntary. You have to learn it. Once you learn it, it is being done. Later on, you gain perfection. And after perfection, they become involuntary. And so they are considered as conditional reflexes. And unconditional reflexes, we already studied that human nervous system is divided into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord, whereas peripheral nervous system consists of network of nerves arising from or going to the central nervous system. Accordingly, the peripheral nerves are classified as afferent nerves and afferent nerves. Now, afferent nerves or afferent nerve fibers transmit sensory impulse from tissue or organ to the central nervous system, and the afferent nerve fibers transmit a regulatory or motor impulses from the central nervous system to the various peripheral tissues and organs. However, according to the recent studies, the extent of peripheral nervous system has been broadened to incorporate the autonomous nervous system, that is, the motor nerves, are divided into somatic and autonomic nervous system. Somatic nervous system relays impulses from central nervous system to skeleton and voluntary muscles. Autonomous nervous system transmit impulses from central nervous system to involuntary organs and smooth muscles. It consists of two types, that is sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Talking about parasympathetic, it consists of rest and digest type of nervous system. It helps in digestion of food, expulsion of waste, and general maintenance of our body. Whereas, if we talk about sympathetic, it consists of fight or flight condition. That means you can say it is an emergency hormone. It increases the heartbeat, it constricts the blood vessel and releases glucose. Let's study in detail about sympathetic nervous system. See, there are 22 pairs of sympathetic ganglia which lie on either side of vertebral column. It is also called as thoracolumbar outflow because it originates in the thoracic and lumbar region of spinal cord, that is T1 to L3. Therefore, it is called as thoracolumbar outflow. Now here in this you will find the sympathetic nervous system consists of two types of nerve fibers, that is preganglionic nerve fiber which are short and postganglionic nerve fibers which are long. Here preganglionic nerve fibers are myelinated, whereas you will find the postganglionic nerve fibers are non-myelinated. Now, at the terminal ends of postganglionic nerve, you will find either acetylcholine or adrenaline and noradrenaline are produced. The terminal ends, so they are called adrenergic fibers. Sympathetic nervous system controls body activities during emergency, that is, fight or flight response. It prepares body to respond during stress. It increases heartbeat. It includes pupil dilation, increased sweating, and increased blood pressure. So now let us study in detail about parasympathetic nervous system. It consists of branches from cranial nerves, that is 3rd, 7th, 9th and 10th, nerves from cranium, and sacral nerves, that is 2nd and 3rd, the spinal nerve 4th. So all together it forms a craniosacral outflow. It consists of ganglia which are very close or within the wall of effector organs. So here the preganglionic nerves are long and postganglionic nerves are short. Apart from this, the preganglionic nerves are myelinated and postganglionic nerves are non-myelinated. Here it produces acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is produced at the terminal end of postganglionic nerve at the effector organ. So as it releases the acetylcholine here, so you can say that these are also called cholinergic fibers. Parasympathetic nervous system is antagonistic to sympathetic nervous system. It shows rest and digest mood. So it conserves energy, it decreases the heartbeat, and certain activities like digestion, urination, etc., which are inhibited by sympathetic nervous system are thus accelerated by parasympathetic nervous system. So here it is opposite or antagonistic to sympathetic nervous system. That means in sympathetic there was increase in blood pressure. So parasympathetic will now decrease the blood pressure. Now let's study the difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system is also called as thoracolumbar outflow, whereas parasympathetic nervous system is also called as craniosacral outflow. In sympathetic nervous system, the preganglionic nerve fibers are short. In parasympathetic nervous system, the preganglionic nerve fibers are long. In sympathetic nervous system, the postganglionic nerve fibers are long, whereas in parasympathetic nervous system, the postganglionic nerve fibers are short. In sympathetic nervous system, adrenaline and noradrenaline is produced at the terminal ends of the postganglionic nerve fibers, whereas in parasympathetic, acetylcholine is produced at the terminal ends. In sympathetic nervous system, we will find it gives fight or flight response, whereas parasympathetic nervous system gives rest and digest response. Sympathetic nervous system is also called as adrenergic fibers, and parasympathetic nervous system is also called as cholinergic fibers. Hence, sympathetic nervous system shows stimulatory effect on most organs, whereas parasympathetic nervous system shows inhibitory effect on most organs. For example, sympathetic nervous system will increase the heartbeat, then parasympathetic nervous system will decrease the heartbeat. That's all for the day. Let's stop here. I hope you understood the topic. We'll meet in the next video. Till then, take care of yourself. Thank you.